About the camera, show them a picture of the finished room. And I was just telling you about I threaten to move in there every so often. Got a bigger bedroom, move the futon in there and let Ross sleep on that. She's so happy that she could roll on the back. She has a double bed on the floor next to her. She's sleep.
We're going to open the November 18th, 2025 Wolcott Wastewater Committee meeting. Jim is on vacation in Portugal, enjoying the sun. So he asked me if I would just kind of lead this meeting tonight. So it looks like we don't really have a quorum. I don't know where Alan and Bruce are. And Jim's not here, so we'll have to table the minutes till next week, next meeting. So Peter, do you want to talk about design permitting and timeline updates? Is he really there?
You hear us, Bradley?
No. Peter?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can.
Normally I'm not come on muted. I also my camera's off, which I don't normally do. Sorry, the screen's much different than normal. I didn't notice. So weird.
Sometimes if you go out and come back in, it works. Or you can just talk like that.
Okay. Well, the weird thing is I don't have the bottom panel where I can normally do everything, like exit even. I guess I'll just talk, and maybe if someone else starts talking, I'll play around with it. But things are moving along pretty well. I overheard you guys talking a little about the environmental interest document. That has been a draft version, was submitted to Lynette, and Lynette shared that with the folks at Northern Borders. And we already got some feedback from them. Most of their feedback, hopefully is all of their feedback, but in general was some of the missing pieces that we knew were still going to need to be incorporated in the draft. We've made some progress on those missing pieces. One of them was the completed wetlands application, which Linda has now signed, and if it hasn't already been submitted, will be submitted by our wetlands subconsultant soon. And then in addition, now that the government shutdown is over, we were able to, fortunately, very quickly get the ag soils sign off from those folks. And so we have that piece. They had some other comments regarding a mitigation table that we just need to fill in. We talked about that internally today, and that doesn't sound like too big of a deal. So we'll work on that.
Peter, we have some standard language for that. You just have to ask Chloe.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Lynette. I feel like there's one other piece, but in general, I think we're pretty close to being able to have a final version. And so that's pretty much a good chunk of the environmental permitting. We're also working internally with our site remediation group to schedule part of the soil management plan, which is to do some additional borings along Route 15 in areas where we suspect there could be some contamination from historic sites. And so we're going to be out there hopefully in early December. Our environmental crew screening some soils and trying to get some baseline understanding of how that soil will be managed during construction. In addition to that, we are moving our design plans forward towards the 90% mark, incorporating Lynette's and Ashwak's comments from the 60%. And we're making good progress on that. We've gotten a draft bridge crossing design from our structural engineering subconsultant Engineering Ventures. And we're hoping to connect with them soon to kind of do a little bit of the back and forth and fine tuning on the placement of those two structures. I think that's kind of the summary. I guess we need to connect probably with Lynette and the Northern Borders folks and try to understand the timeline a little better for the public hearing. Last time we spoke, we were shooting for the Wastewater Committee in the middle of December as a potential date. I'm hopeful that could still happen, but I think, and Lynette can chime in, I think that would require both entities sort of issuing their FONSI and being in the 30-day public comment period and then warning that meeting. So I don't know time-wise if that is still feasible, if we need to bump into January. I'll let Lynette maybe chime in to see what she thinks.
I am hopeful that we can figure out a way for either them to like co-sign on or to kind of follow their own thing. What they've asked for is a collaborative review, so they wanted to be able to like have comments at the same time, which is what we're doing.
Great. And how about do you think it's feasible to? It pretty much just needs to be out for public comment, right, Lynette? Am I correct on that step of
Yes.
it? Okay. Does that seem reasonable to you that we could make that happen in December then?
Yes.
Cool. That sounds great.
When in December?
Linda, we had talked about potentially tagging it on with our normal meeting, which I believe is like the 16th or something like that. Like Helen in front of me.
But then I just heard you say it needed to be out for 30-day warning.
No, it needs to be warned, and then the meeting has to happen within that 30-day window. So.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood.
I think timing wise, if it did have to get bumped to early January, it probably wouldn't be the end of the world because we'll be kind of in the indirect discharge permitting phase at that point too. So it's kind of multiple parallel tracks happening. Amy is working on the hydrogeologic report in conjunction with Jeff Hoffer. We just had a good meeting with him today. She's hoping to have a draft in the next couple of weeks. And then we were thinking we would try to set up a meeting with some of the state folks and just kind of go through the high points of that report with them. I think that's kind of the gist of it. Really, I'd say things are generally progressing as we've been detailing in the last couple meetings, so not really much change to the schedule.
Great. Any comments, Lynette, that you'd like to share at all?
I mean, that sounds like everything's on track to me.
Okay. So if that's all, Peter, we'll move on to the status of the village landowner right of way and partial release forms and any spreadsheet updates.
I can circulate the updated spreadsheet. It looks like some pretty good progress has been made. We still have, something around, I noticed a few were opt-out properties, so I'm not sure, but I counted 11 that we still don't have easements for.
So I've been
Yeah.
working very hard with Alex and David. So I just delivered 2 to David today. I have Mandigo coming in this week to sign. I have David has had to resend to Pete at Peak Screens. I had a conversation with him. He misplaced them. I spoke with Marcia Douglas today. She's just waiting for it. David sent me the deed again, so I will deliver that to her. Jackie Fur, we need to get a power of attorney, and I've spoken to her ex-brother-in-law, and he's gonna sign that. If not, I will go visit him in Hardwick.
Okay, great.
I guess, Alex talked with, Margaret Tretro's daughter, and they want to hook up. I'm just trying to get clarification if it's all 4 of their lots or not.
That was my question too. So Alex, we're gonna reach back out to them on that.
Right, he needs to let me know, because I only did the deed searches for Margaret's home.
Okay, good to know.
I didn't, and so I checked, and all the other 3 are separate deeds. It's not bundled together. I checked today.
Okay, great.
There's a few more I haven't reached out to. I don't know where we stand with MSI. Seth was working on that. I think we're just waiting for the usage.
I feel like Seth and I did have a conversation before I went on vacation, and he was working on them, and I also had a couple minor to-do list things to help him with that. So I will circle back with him the next day or so and see how that's going.
Okay. So we'll keep plugging away.
Yeah, we're getting there. Would be helpful to get an updated spreadsheet, Linda, because I can send that around.
Yeah, it would.
Okay.
I'd hate to bug someone who already signed. I think there was one person that hadn't.
Okay, sounds good. I had a couple questions as I went through it that I just want to double check with Alex, but I'll check with him in the morning and then have him send it out.
Okay. So grant funding update. Is there anything?
Still no notice on the community development block grant application. The board who reviews the applications is meeting on the Thursday of this week, so they sent out a notice recently via email that there'd be a notification by the new year.
And outreach updates, what is that?
I don't know if you want to work on more scheduled front porch forum postings. Just with how we did like a similar
Right.
status update, we could map out some.
Yeah, I think when we have made some progress, it's really good to communicate that to the community or what's going on. Would be good.
And then will 90% designs, Peter, be a presentation also?
That's a good question. Yes. Yes, we will have to do a presentation and, depending on timing, we'll have to think about if maybe that can happen the same time as the, environmental interest, presentation. Any thoughts on that, Lynette? Could those two happen together?
Yeah, you just might want to consider the order of how you do it because there's, the formal public comment period with the hearing
Right.
portion.
So when you're doing these soil borings along Route 15, is that something that the public should be aware of, or is it going to be not that noticeable? That will,
We will be contacting each of the landowners whose property is sort of adjacent to the right of way or within the right of way. And we will be getting a VTrans 1111 permit for that work. It will be similar to what we've done already. I believe it'll be the same size drill rig. It will be a little bit more comprehensive what we're doing. So we're actually pulling out soil samples versus just figuring out where the bedrock surface is. But it really shouldn't be that big of a deal. Can you remember, Linda, did we notify folks with the
no, I was
forum?
just trying to think, I don't believe so. But I was just trying to think of what kind of updates we could provide. That's all.
Well, I think so once we figure out when there's a date for the hearing, we should definitely put that on front porch forum. And it certainly couldn't hurt to put out once those dates are firmed up and we have our 1111 permit, it would certainly couldn't hurt to put out a front porch forum post just saying what we're doing.
Okay.
Well, my report on my camera, by the way, is that I have found the button that should be turning it on, but it is my camera's been acting up for the last month or two, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So I'm not entirely sure. Oh, there we go.
No.
Right at the end of the meeting. Sorry, everyone.
Yeah, so I was gonna ask if you had any questions.
The parcel next to Tetro's home is considered wetlands. So I don't think you will be able to put a building or structure there. So there's no sense in,
Well, that would be up to the zoning administrator, I guess, and.
well, that's why the building that was there was removed because it was considered by the state wetlands.
That's helpful to hear. I was kind of asking the same thing of Alex. It seems like a little bit of due diligence on those lots and making sure that they can meet the zoning requirements makes sense.
Because that was back in
Is
90.
that where Flanders lived or?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was back in 90 something, 91, 92. He had a house or a trailer there.
Oh, yeah.
And they removed it because it was considered wetlands by the state.
So somebody screwed up and put a trailer there anyway?
No, no,
Oh, okay.
that was before the state came in.
Oh, okay.
between the two. So she actually has 4 lots.
Right, but that one I think is gonna be negative from the state.
Is that grant that you were just talking about, the one, you were in the newspaper in September talking about an extra $1 million, is that the grant? Okay,
Yeah,
and is that just for a reserve fund in case there is?
yeah, in case costs go over and, just you can't anticipate what will happen, so that if everything's the way we predict it, we have enough money right now, but you never know.
And what about like, the reason why I wanted to come tonight is because like you see them denying the FEMA disaster relief over in Sutton and stuff. What is the town planning in case we have a disaster here, which we will, and it's destroyed? What's the town gonna do when they don't get any FEMA funds to repair the wastewater?
Well, we started talking about it at our select board meeting that we need to come up with some sort of plan or start some kind of reserve fund to have for that if FEMA goes away. We're in the process of our budgeting cycle right now. So that's part of the discussion too, of how so we're allowed to set up these reserve funds, and the reserve funds have to be approved by the voters, but that once the funding goes into these reserve funds, you can add money. But if you take it out, it has to be only for the purpose that you designated that reserve fund.
And that's extra taxes on us, or?
Well, it'd have to be taxpayers' money, yeah. It would have to be included in our select board budget, so, say, we started putting 10,000 a year into it or something, it wouldn't be a huge amount, but we should consider putting some money into it. For
I can just
disasters.
chime in that our designs, we're doing the best we can with our designs to, um, prepare for flood mitigation and, do things like ballast the septic tanks, put the controls above the 500-year flood mark so that they're so they're above that flood level at least, and kind of flood proof everything else, so that it's as protected as it can be, and sort of same with the stream crossings. So there's no guarantees, obviously, but we're certainly cognizant of that.
I have two things. One is, are we going to be notified when there's blasting? And the second one is, will this system withstand a 5.5 earthquake? Because we've noted to have 4.2 to 4.5 earthquakes in this area.
I'm not a structural engineer. I don't do a ton of work with earthquake type stuff, but I don't see any reason why this system would be any different than any other infrastructure. I mean, it's generally going to be buried, so I would say it's mostly earthquake proof. I've never heard of a concern like that. So, sorry, what was your other question?
Are we going to be notified if there's blasting?
Yes, of course. Yep. There's pretty strict procedures around blasting. So those will be adhered to, and those are in our specifications that we're preparing.
And do you have the permit for the leach field at the school, or is there a chance that could fall through?
We are preparing that application now, and hopefully in the next month or so, that'll be ready for submittal. It's actually one permit for the whole system, including the collection system and the force mains. So they kind of look at it as one package.
Anything else?
I think that's all I have.
Okay. Anyone else online have any questions? If not, I guess we will see you on December 16th. 5 o'clock.
Sounds good.
All right. Have a good Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you too, everybody.
Yep.
Take care. Bye.
It's a good thing.